morning, everyone. I hope your week was well, and I hope your Friday is going to be awesome. Happy birthday to anybody that has a birthday this month. Happy birthday, Kathy. Just give me a second while the computer catches up with the live. Hello. Hopefully you'll be able to see everything. So I got this idea from a fellow consultant, Danielle Wagner, and her card was just so pretty. She didn't exactly say how she did it, but she kind of said. So I just started kind of playing with it to see what I could do. And it says that I'm live, but I do not see myself. There we go. Hello, everyone. Okay, so today I'm going to be using Rosemary, Mint, Avocado, and Harbour ink. And Harbour is just off to the side there. And the stamp sets that I'm using are the must-have, always on my desk, D2052 for all occasions. And it has quite a few of them. Let me just make sure I get it up there far enough that you can see it. Okay. And then I just got from our newest catalog, page 28, I got the Christmas trees and the wrapped up stamp and the thin cuts. Okay. And they are right here. Cute little trees, and just as I was finishing up, I thought, oh, I could do something with that too. So maybe there'll be a next week video on what to do with these little itty bitty pieces. Okay, so there's the two stamp sets that I used, and thin cuts, and these are just going to go on a standard size card. So they're just a little bit smaller. And I wanted to show you a couple different ways to do it. So I told you about the inks. I've got this nice long block that is longer than my piece of paper. Okay, it needs to be longer than the piece of paper. I've also got some water. I'm on my mat, and you will need a nice damp wash rag and a paper towel for in between. Okay, because you want to dry it so that way your paper doesn't get totally saturated. And you could even maybe use a heat tool if you don't want to just let it have time to dry. Then you can heat it up and continue on your way. Okay. And then I'll show you some other things that I used as we go along. All right, so let's get started. Anybody there? Say hello. Okay. So, I'm going to start, I always tend to start with my lighter colors, that way I'm not mixing anything into my inks, and it just seems to be a better way to go. So, get those out of the way, make sure you can see. I'm going to take my block, and you won't be able to see until I get a little bit darker color on, but I'm going to take it off camera and just give it a quick spray, so it just has a little bit of water on it, okay? And then I'm going to set it down, and this one's going to go in the middle. I'm just going to kind of make some pretty. Make some pretty, isn't that a nice word? Okay, so this I need to make sure that I dry off before I go into this. My block I need to make sure I dry off before I go into the next color, okay? Next color is Avocado. So maybe there you can see that it's not totally inking up, and I kind of like that. Get a little bit more. I'm going to spray it again off camera, and I just give it a really little mist, maybe just a mist more. I'm kind of a little far away, probably about this far away from it. And then we're going to take that color. Oh. The other thing is make sure you wipe off your surface. I mean, it doesn't really matter if it gets on the back, but, you know. And I kind of like, and see I've got some extra here, so I'm going to turn it around and just drag it along that bottom edge. All right, so see, I got some there, got a lot there. So I'm gonna wash it off on my towel. I'm gonna dry it off, and I'm gonna pick up that extra ink. Next is Rosemary, and we will do it all again. So we get some on our block, kind of like the striation, the lines that it has. I'm kind of letting the water run down to that top part a little bit. Ooh, that might be pretty. Let's see what we get. That's really pretty. Okay, they're never going to be the same, obviously. And there we go. So we'll set that aside to dry. What do you think? Kind of pretty. Could go either way, either direction. But like I say, this one got a little bit wetter. This one's already dry in the middle. You can see it kind of leak through. So that's one way to do this technique. Here's the next way. If you don't want to mess with the water. Okay, for this one, so I'm going to take my mink again, the lightest color you're using, and I'm just going to direct to paper, put some on there. And because this is the lightest color, I can, go over the edges because the other will cover. Now, because I used a lot of ink, I'm going to make sure that I keep my surface clean as I can. Next color, Avocado. Down on this end. And I kind of like that it has the white kind of showing through. And one more time with Rosemary. I'll turn this one around because I'm right-handed, so it works better to do it that way. Okay. So there is another kind of, surface is kind of messy. There is another way of doing it, okay? Again, just a block. It's nice if it's a little bit bigger than what you need. And I also want to show you this next little tip. Well, I will show you what I do with those. So this is one of the Christmas trees. And like I said, I'm going to use the Harbour ink for my stamping, okay? So, oops. I'm going to stamp this up. I always tend to look and make sure everything is inked up well. And I don't think I got that very centered, but that's okay. Wash that off. And now I'm going to take a little block. I'm going to go back to that lightest color. Get a little bit on my block, which you can't really see. I'm going to spray it again off camera. Try not to get too much on there. And now we can color our background a little bit. You can kind of see where the leftover ink is. And wash that off. Dry our area in between. So I was the mink with the Harbour. And I'll hold that up so you can see it. It kind of gives you a little speckle. I don't know if you can see that. And it kind of makes it so it's not just that stark white. Because that stark white on the back of here is pretty stark. Okay? So we'll let that dry. That one's almost dry. This one's nearly dry now. This one got a little bit wetter, but that's okay. So the next thing I wanted to show you was I pulled out the number 10 jelly roll. Now if you're having a hard time with these, it might be that you're pushing down too hard. Okay? Get it going. I'll show you here so you can see it. Get it kind of going. See how it's got a little puddle there? And just lightly, very lightly. If you don't do lightly and you do harder, there's lightly. And see how it kind of double lines it when you go harder. Hopefully you can see that. That versus that. So I'm going to be gentle and see if I can't go over where I did that first one. go slow. And we're going to continue around. Now because these have gotten slightly wet and because they have all of this pattern on here, see how much prettier that looks? And that's from Kelly Baxter Fitzgerald. She always lines her stuff with white or black or some kind of frame it in, but it just kind of sets it off a little bit. Maybe you can't see that. Okay. See how non-line and line kind of is cool? The other thing you can do with this is you can, this like I said is number 10, it's the biggest one, but you can go and make little snowdrops, or you can go and make bigger dots. So if you don't want to play with the paint, this is a good way to get some dots on there. Now on one of the cards I did use this spray gloss, which is acrylic, so it cleans up until it's dry, and then it is plastic, so remember that. There's a little ball in there, you can hear. You gotta shake, 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 get that all mixed up. When you spray it, make sure that you clear off the nozzle, and sometimes you have to take that nozzle and soak it in hot water to free that and keep that clear, so that way it'll continue to spray. But I did not do that when I used it. I took it off and I just kind of dropped it, or I tapped it, which I don't want to do because it makes a mess and I don't have my box out. Well, maybe I will. Get everything out of the way. But you've got to be careful where you fling it, and you can just see how it gets bigger drops when you touch it on there, or you can flick it on there. Okay, and remember, let it dry. It doesn't take that long. Can you see the difference from the dots I did and the other dots? They're a little bit puffier, which I'll try and get you a close-up in the one that I used, the paint, or plastic if you will. So I'm going to set that aside, make sure I clean up my surface. While it's wet, you have the option of cleaning. When it's not, you don't. Okay, so I showed you that. The other thing I wanted to show you is that you can decorate the heck out of this. So some of the things that I used were these guys, which is, these three are liquid pearls, and this is the stickles. This one is, what color is this? This is silver. This one is sage. This one is white opal. And then carnation red. Okay? So, there's different things that you can do, and I will show you some samples of what I did. But you just decorate your tree. Okay? What else do I want to tell you? Give me a second to think. I think that's it. Give it a try. And I'd love to see what you come up with. And let's look at some cards I did. So this first one that I did is, you can see those white dots. See how much thicker they are and look like paint splatters? That's when I used the spray gloss spray in white, okay, for the background. Then on these trees, I used this dot here is this sage, and I used a little bit of white on this one. Pull that up. So there's a little bit of white on that one. There's some green sage, which is a really pretty color. And then the rest of it, even though it kind of looks gold on the picture, it's actually the silver. Okay, so there's the first card. The second card I did, so this card, again, I used the silver sparkles and the sage liquid pearls, but then all this white behind here is just with the jelly roller pen, number 10. You get 3 in a pack, 5, 8, and 10. So it's really nice. And you can see I went around the lines. And you can see because of this pattern, it's not really going to look straight, so just get over that. And the next card, so then I thought, okay, I want to do something a little different, and I haven't pulled in this red yet. Okay, so I just went with Rosemary ink for my background, and then the Harbour ink for the trees and the Merry Christmas, and then the red. So here's what I got. So again, these little dots around are with the Jelly Roller pen, and then the red is the liquid pearls. So let's put these in order. Card 1, card 2, card 3, card 1, card 2, card 3. Oh, and I wanted to show you this. So this is from the presents. It's the only present I used. I stamped it in Rosemary ink. I did the same thing with the little block and the tree that I had done before to color in the present. And then the Merry Christmas, even though it's a straight line of Merry Christmas, you can very easily ink up just the Merry. See, you've got almost a 1/4 of an inch almost in between there. So you can easily ink that up, dry it off, turn it around, ink that up. So that's how I got the Merry Christmas stacked on itself without having to cut your acrylic. And you can do that if you want. You can cut those right in half and you'd have the two. But I kind of like to leave it as the one, and just if there's enough room, I don't need to cut it. And that's how I did that. Even though this kind of looks more gray, it is the rosemary green color. So tell me which one is your favorite. If you're going to try it, let me know, and I'd love to see a picture. And one of these cards is going to be the 4th card in our boxing class, which is next Monday. So I will see you then, ladies. Have an awesome day. Bye.